Then we have, oh, then we have Kenneth Wilson, and he takes the lead with first and second grade. Julie DeGroot takes the lead with third and fourth grade. Suzanne Packenham, who takes the lead with fifth and sixth grade. And we have Sarah Swanson, who takes the lead with students with disabilities, also students who might be experiencing homelessness. So that is us. And I guess, you know, as we've been working through coming out the other side of the pandemic, I know we're not all the way there yet, but we have noticed that students not only have lagging skills in academics, but have lagging skills in those social emotional skills. And we want to be responsive to that. And we also want to be proactively teaching skills where they might be lagging. And lagging skills just come from lack of practice opportunities, lack of exposure. One report I was reading talked about, you know, sometimes we practice our social skills, yes, with our families, yes, with our friends, but when it comes to people that we don't choose to be around, like maybe classmates who we have a different perspective from, that's when we really rely on strong social skills, because it's using skills like compromise or empathy or deep listening in order to get along. So we have noticed, you know, a lag in skills. We've also, even according to the Minnesota Student Survey, which our sixth graders took last year, there's an increase in students reporting that they're struggling with significant mental health concerns. It's at 29% of students right now, of students who took the survey, and that's up from 23% 2 years ago. So clearly the need is there for more student support, and we have luckily been able to meet that need and bring on really great student support staff. So you can go to the next one. When we look at student support at Meadowbrook, we talk about it being in 3 tiers. So tier 1 is what really every student would experience at Meadowbrook. So go ahead and click. I think I added animation, which there we go. So every student at Meadowbrook is involved in community building circles in their classroom. This just helps to help, you know, create great relationships between students, among teachers and students. We went back to doing some student recognition that we did pre-pandemic. It's called Friday's Finest, and I include that in my newsletter each week, where Trenton and I identify a grade level and highlight some kids who have been doing a really great job. We also give their families a call home and a little shout out there. And then all kids have social emotional learning with Mrs. Sobansky as part of the specials rotation. So our 2nd through 6th graders have 2 rotations with Ms. Sobansky, and our kindergarten and 1st graders have more frequent rotations. I think they might even see her 4 times. And then we also use a screening tool in the beginning of the year called Panorama, which has students in 3 through 6 kind of identifying where their strengths and areas of growth are in regards to social emotional learning. And we use that information to help us know what students might need a little extra support, or who we want to plan maybe groups to support. Just helps us know where to, helps us identify students in a different way than just being with what we see, but we also hear from students who might be struggling too. So tier 2 then, this is, so each tier, it would represent like a smaller percentage of students, right? So this is about, I think I don't remember now, 15% of students or 20% of students could be benefiting from small group or individual interventions. So again, we have our go to student support staff for those grade bands and special education. We also have our special education case managers who do some tier 2 supports as well, where that might be social skills groups or executive functioning groups or things like that. So it could be a small group to help some students with their emotional like regulation. It could be a small group or an individual intervention, just giving someone a really trusted adult to talk about something tough that they've been going through. And then we have tier 3, which would be the smallest group of students who are really being intensive with. So this would include the same group of people on our student support team, but also Mr. Lawson and I get involved when there's a tier 3 situation. This is where our repairing the harm circles happen, or repairing the harm chats happen. And Ms. Packenham will talk about that in a little bit. But we also have school-based mental health professional this year. Her name is Kirstine Foss. And we also use our student assistance team, which is kind of like a problem-solving team. So if we have a student who's really demonstrating significant lack or lag of skills, that team might say, let's try this intervention for 4 weeks, see what happens. And if that worked, awesome. If not, that team kind of brainstorms what happens next. So with that, we wanted to just review. Yep, go ahead and go on to the next one. Mr. Lawson's going to jump in and talk about bullying specifically.
So sometimes you may have, we're a school, and sometimes students may get into conflicts. Oftentimes they come home and they say, this kid is bothering me. And I wanted to just read you guys the definition of bullying, because oftentimes that's what's reported to us, that students are bullying my child. So I just want to read that definition, and then I want to talk a little bit about how you guys can report. The definition of bullying. Bullying means intimidating, threatening, abusive, or harming conduct that is objectively offensive, and an actual or perceived imbalance of power exists between the student engaging in the prohibited conduct and the target of the prohibited conduct. And the conduct is repeated or forms a pattern, which is important, or materially and substantially, interferes with a student's educational opportunities or performance or ability to participate in school functions or activities, or receive school benefits, services, or privileges. You can go on to the next slide. So if you're ever in a situation where you have your student come home and says, your student says, this student has been bullying me or has been repeatedly doing something to me, you can contact Ms. Sawatsky or myself directly. Our email addresses are on there, and you can also call our phones directly. We will always respond. If you either email or call us directly, we'll respond to any report of bullying within our school. What we try to do is we try to investigate the situation. Oftentimes that means pulling in individual students, questioning them. Also, if there are any witnesses that happen to have witnessed the behavior that's happening within the school, we'll pull them in, and we'll try to get an accurate assessment of what's happening. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew kind of what that process looked like. So then when you do call us or contact us, you'll have an idea of what's going to happen.
So is this Suzanne then?
Yes, then I asked Suzanne to kind of talk about, so there's bullying, and then like Mr. Lawson said, there are, every day someone is doing something that someone didn't like, and we consider that harm. And so Ms. Packenham's going to talk about our approach to harm.
Sure. I'm Suzanne Packenham. I am the student success advocate as well as the restorative culture coordinator. And our district has now expanded that type of role. So I'm able to meet not only with my team that you have seen at school, as well as district level representation for restorative culture. So if you have any questions about that, you can certainly let me know. I do have to sign off after this because my own children are doing other things. But if you have any questions, you can reach out anytime. So the paradigm shift that we are working towards is going from traditional discipline to restorative practices. And I, rather than read all of those to you, the main goal is to have students and faculty learn from harm rather than just be punished. So what happened and how can we fix it? We want to give the person who I'm going to refer to them as the victim in this case, the chance to feel heard and understood from their perspective, and to have the person who, in this case, I'll say offender, have the chance, sorry, my child, have the chance to repair the harm with that person rather than a punitive punishment. So if you kind of look at those different columns, that is the shift that we are trying to make. And there are some core assumptions that we have with restorative practices, and there are 7 of them, but just to sort of hit home why we are working to shift towards this, I'm just going to kind of highlight a couple. And the first one is that the true self in everyone, all of our students, all of our faculty, is that we are good, wise, and powerful. And the second one is that the world is profoundly interconnected. And there are 7, but those are 2 that we really focus on helping people understand and our students understand that they are connected, that their actions do affect other people, and to have the chance to repair the harm. So when we meet either formally or sometimes a little more informally, depending on the situation, we try to ask specific questions that are restorative. So the first one is everyone involved. It could be 2 people, it could be student to student, it could be student to faculty, it could be colleagues meeting together. But we want to establish with everyone from their own perspective what happened and how did it make you feel. And so we are in space together. We use a restorative circle structure. And so we pass a talking piece often so that everyone gets a chance to talk and feel heard. And then we do as many rounds as we need so that people feel understood. The very last question that we always ask is, who has been affected by this and in what way? And what do you need to feel like the situation has been corrected? And what that does is it helps the person who made the mistake really understand how they affected somebody else. And it gives the victim a chance to say, you know, I will feel better if blank. Sometimes it's a written apology. Sometimes it's, I need some space. Sometimes it's, I need to hear you say that you will not do that again. I need to hear that you met with Ms. Sawatsky or Mr. Lawson. And it puts some power in the person who was harmed to be a part of the reflection and a part of the repairing, and not just a punitive, well, you're, you know, in for recess or this thing is taken away. We want there to be learning from the conversation. That you can certainly add any of my other colleagues or non-colleagues.
I do want to add something. Restorative practices work the majority of the time, but sometimes they don't. And so when those restorative practices do not work, sometimes as a school, we do have to resort back to the traditional type of discipline. We always give students and people the option of participating in the restorative practices because they can say no. So just to be clear, I want you guys to know and understand, we try our best to make sure that every student in our school gets an opportunity to participate in the restorative practice piece.
Yeah, Trenton, I was going to add something similar to that in that, you know, Suzanne and I were talking before this in that accountability piece for students, sitting down and having to talk about what happened with the person that it happened with. Often that can cause somewhat discomfort, and being accountable in that way is much more difficult than missing recess or calling home. So some of it is shifting like our brains because we think like, well, did the child miss recess? Well, in some cases, that's a lot easier to do and not get to like the heart of the matter in actually repairing what happened. And so we really want to make sure that we are, repairing whatever harm was done to our community and to the members of our community, and not just kind of giving that easy way out or saying you had a punishment and now it's going to be fixed. But yet there are times when we do need to go back to traditional discipline because participants are unwilling, or in some situations, the infraction might be severe enough that it results in something like that. So we open it up for questions with the caveat in that if your child is experiencing something specific, we want you to reach out to us so that we can really talk about it with confidentiality and be able to, come up with a plan for supporting you and your child. But as far as general concerns, we are happy to answer questions.
I have a question again. Sorry.
You don't have to be sorry.
So I like the idea of restorative practices. I think the piece that's missing is parents. A lot of times the behaviors that children are exhibiting have something to do with parents. So I encourage the schools to try to find a way. I don't think that it'll happen this school year or even next school year or the year after, but finding a way to include parents in that process of restorative, like almost mandatory, like if depending on the behavior, like some type of training even for the parents on how they themselves can communicate with other parents. I'm grateful to the parents that have, when my children have gotten into it with their children, that they call me personally and we hash it out. And then I've also encountered parents that are like, I'm not talking to you. So I think that it has to start with the adults. We need social emotional learning for adults. The other thing is, I hear all the circles and all this stuff. I'm wondering about documentation, because how can you track patterns, right? I think we could be restorative, but then if it needs to get to a punitive state, how do we even know if it's not being tracked or documented? And I'm not saying that you're not doing it, but I'm wondering, like, is there a protocol for documenting incidents? And then also, sorry, it's layered. When I get a call from a school counselor, they have to respect me as the expert of my child. If I'm telling them that my child may not be open to them and that I'm going to come up to the school to talk to them, and then they try to stop me from talking to my child, that's a problem. And sure enough, in a specific incident, I was able to pull my son out and finally get it out of him. He's in that awkward stage. When they get to like 5th, 6th grade, they don't want to talk and stuff. They think it's uncool to talk to their parents, but I got it out of him, what happened and why it led to the behavior that he showed in school. So I think that there has to be a mind shift around parents' expertise around their own children. And so when they're calling, they can't use things like use certain words, maybe changing the type of language. Maybe that's Miss Packenham can train the counselors and what type of language to use when you're calling. If you tell me that my son is terrorizing someone, guess what? I'm going to be up at the school in 5 minutes because I don't accept my son terrorizing someone. So maybe we choose our language differently when we call parents.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I feel like I was trying to stay present, but documentation. We do track student data, and we do it in a number of ways. And so one of the ways we track data is when classrooms call for support. We do keep track of who's calling for support, for what student they're calling for support, the time of day, so that we're able to intervene maybe with a proactive approach when we notice a pattern instead of a reactive approach. We also use, like I talked about, that panorama survey as one indicator, but then we also measure that against attendance patterns or academic patterns. And we see kids show up that maybe have more than one, like, quote unquote, risk factor or opportunity factor. And then those are students that we are connecting with in a proactive way or in a really insightful way or planful way, I guess, to partner and kind of create opportunities for increased social emotional connection. And then any like behavior incident, we also document that. And then when, if we're noticing a pattern with a particular student who may be having difficulty, at recess time, 3 out of 4 days this week, we're able to look in our data system and say, whoa, look at what happened last week. And then put an intervention in place. And our student support team meets every other week. So pretty often we're looking at data and kind of noticing the trends and the patterns and then intervening appropriately there.
Well, I'd like to tackle that second piece if I could. What happens often is we can train parents on how to appropriately respond to things that happen in school. We can provide the training. The issue becomes we can't force, as a school, we can't force parents to come and participate in conversations if they choose not to. As a school, we only have so much power in order to create those interactions. We can offer opportunities to fix situations with adults, but we are a school and our main focus is on students. We're really looking to make sure that the students who participate in situations or have a situation at school, a conflict, or if something is said that hurts someone's or harm is done that hurts someone's feelings, that's a learning opportunity for the students. Our focus is our students.
Thanks, Trenton, and Natalie and Suzanne. And are there any other questions for the group? All right. Well, we really, really, really appreciate you guys taking time out of your days and evenings to share that with us. I think it is a really important part of the partnership that we can provide to you and you to us. So we appreciate your sharing that with us. I'm going to share the other presentation.
Hi, Suzanne.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, you are free to
Bye.
leave.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Reach out
being here.
anytime. Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
See you tomorrow morning.
Bye, Trenton.
Woohoo.
I'm sharing.
Are we going to do the
Yep,
speaker next?
I'm looking for it. I thought I had it.
Perfect. So Suzanne has been working also at school. So each year we have a kindness retreat, and this is something that used to be just for 5th grade, that the student support team would put on a kindness retreat for the 5th grade. Clearly with COVID and having students distance learning and all of that, it has not happened in the last few years. So looking this year at having a speaker to be able to come in and present to our students at Meadowbrook, what is kindness, how to be kind to one another, all those sorts of things. And we have just a quick clip of a potential speaker that we would like to have come in. He would come and speak to our groups in a K-2 age group, and then a 3 to 5, or 3 to 5, 3 to 6. Since we have such a wide spread of ages within our school, we want our speakers to be able to really, direct to what ages that they're working on. And Erin, do you want to play a little bit about that?
Okay, is that going to work? Yes. Okay, so this is from his website. Like Stacy said, his name is Brian Williams, and we'll just play a tiny bit of this clip so you can get an idea of what we are asking for a budget increase in this area so that we can get this awesome speaker. Oh, shoot. I don't have audio on this one. You guys. One
Yeah,
Well,
there's a
speak
special
to-
setting for audio.
I'll speak
Yeah, I
quickly
got
to
it.
the budget part of it as you're doing that. Unless,
Nope,
are
that's
you good?
okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me? Oh, go ahead. Nope. Can't hear
I
it.
think you have to stop sharing and then share again, and then you have to select like a box that says audio.
Or we can just put a link to his website in the chat. Let's just do that.
People can go through it.
Mhm.
Hey, can you guys tell that we're not?
Okay, that's fine. Just go ahead and put it in the chat. So I will encourage all of you to go take a peek at his video. He's got some, just a really great rapport with the kids. So the reason we are bringing this up is, one, we would like to let parents know that this is something that we would like to do for the school. Secondly, we, in the past, our budget has been $2,500 for our kindness retreat. This is something that our counselors, like I said, has just put on. We haven't had to hire somebody to come in. Hiring a speaker to come in is more expensive than what our budget allows. So we wanted to just do a quick vote from as a general meeting on adding an additional $2,500 to have a speaker come in. And then, we'll try this. If we vote on it and agree, we can try it out for a year and see what our thoughts are on it. So just need to put it on the table to increase our budget by $2,500. And would need, Betsy, you're better at this.
Yeah, we just need somebody to put it as a motion. Like Stacy and I
motion in a
can't
second.
say that. We need to have somebody else say that.
I motion to increase the kindness budget to $5,000.
Second.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we can use the raise hand feature, or you can just put your hand up. There is a little raised hand feature under the reactions. You could do a thumbs up, a heart, something that would indicate your approval. Awesome. Does that seem like the majority?
I think that is a majority.
Okay.
Perfect.
We totally appreciate that. I'm going to go back to my really technology savvy slideshows over here. I am a Google meeting kind of girl, so apologies.
We've only been doing this for 3 years, Erin.
All right, we will move on to some committee updates. If your slide comes up and you're on the meeting and you're comfortable sharing, that would be awesome. So we start with the book swap. This is something I don't think anybody from the book swap is on. We have done this for many years. The kids during the month of February, which is I Love to Read month, they bring in books that they would like to swap. The book swap this year is going to be on the 27th and the 28th. They bring in their gently used books to their classroom teacher. And usually everybody gets 2 to 3 books at this book swap, regardless of how many they donate. So you could bring in 0 and get 2 to 3 books, or you could bring in 10 and get 2 to 3 books. I have definitely used this event to clean out some bookshelves.
So any specific books or?
Typically it's been books that kids would enjoy, right? So that's kind of a wide variety, being that we're from 2nd to 6th grade. But yes, kid books.
We'll jump in that oftentimes we have a large number for the younger grades and not quite as many for the older grades. So to put a little more emphasis on chapter books or those for our 4th through 6th graders.
Awesome. And then we have Katie, I think you're on. Would you like to talk about the 6th grade end of the year?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. So for those that don't know me, I'm Katie Long. And we have started planning the 6th grade end of year celebration, which will take place on the last day of school. We've had a first official meeting, I think back in December, and then we have another meeting coming up on February 22nd. But basically, this is for the entire 6th grade class. And what we currently have planned is basically a day of, hopefully we'll be serving the students breakfast, and then we'll have buses that will take the students ideally to the Hopkins track, still working out some details here. And then they would be there for lunch and for some activities. And then they would return back to Meadowbrook, go to the gym. We're hoping to get some music, and then have kind of a slideshow going. So I think you've probably seen in Natalie's newsletter that we have links to the slideshow and links to the website. Thanks, Stacy. I think I saw you post it in the chat as well, but the link is also on this, and you can find it in the newsletter. All the information is there regarding the tentative itinerary. And I say tentative because, of course, it's weather pending. It's also kind of pending donations. And we have a great group of people who have already volunteered to help, but we can certainly always use more, and we will definitely need more volunteers on the day of, so on June 7th. But we have, I think we're pretty well set for slideshow. So that's the plug to have any guardians of 6th grade students. You can send in a current photo of your student at Meadowbrook. So we want the pictures to be at the school, no vacation pictures or other things. They can be with friends, but I think at least one photo, one current photo, and then a photo maybe from a previous year at Meadowbrook. And then we'll have a gift, and we'll have more information coming about the contest as it relates to the class gift. And then website, we have a very basic website because I don't have computer skills, but I put one together so we could get a little greater reach. And then we have a committee working on food, and they're being very inclusive of allergies and things to consider. And then activities both for students who are interested in track related activities and non-track related activities. But again, any help. And then unfortunately, we still don't have a DJ or music committee. So if anyone knows of anyone, again, budget friendly, we have some people reaching out, but would love if anyone had any suggestions or help there. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, sorry, it does have a typo there. They do want photos of your 6th grader.
Oh, oh, all good.
Yeah.
I think there is one for 5th graders as well, but the 6th graders for the 6th grader site.
Yes.
Yep. And our next slide on the 6th grader is 5th graders.
Yes, she already corrected is even if they don't have the photo, they can send the previous 5th grade photo too.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. Good point.
Awesome. Okay. So yes, here we go with my other typo. It says 6th graders here.
We asked for our 6th grade photos here. So I can jump in for the 5th grade celebration. So since we are moving our 5th and our 6th graders to the junior high next year, to the middle school, we also have a 5th grade celebration. This is going to be happening on Tuesday, June 6th, which is the day before the 6th grade party. And it's the second to last day of school. We'll be starting our day in the cafeteria with breakfast and a slideshow, and then we'll be busing over to Brookview Park for a day of play over there with the DJ and catered lunch. And then we'll head back to Meadowbrook around 3 o'clock for popsicles on the playground. I also included the website for the 5th grade party. And we are absolutely want to, sorry, my brain stopped working. We absolutely want to invite anybody who wants to be a part of it to come and help, be a part of the planning committee. Our next meeting we have scheduled for Monday, February 13th at 5:30 p.m. That is done virtually. And you can either just email us through PTO or check out the website and get all the details that you need there.
Thank you, Stacy. I'll take over for you for a little bit.
Thank you.
We have some upcoming restaurant night. This, I think, is a new one for us. I don't remember Leanne Chin before, but Leanne Chin on February 16th, which is like in a couple weeks at the Golden Valley location from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. I don't have a link for the flyer on this one, but we will make sure it gets in the next newsletter and on the social media pages. And the yearbook, Shannon, do you have anything to add about the yearbook? I just kind of copied and pasted what you had in the newsletter.
No, not a whole lot. We are going to be doing special pages for the 5th graders and then a separate set of pages for the 6th graders. And so you will be seeing links coming out shortly of where you can submit your pictures for that.
Thank you. Oh, good, Stacy. I was like, can you do that for me, please? This is just to mark your calendars for the plant sale is coming. We will have online orders again this year. I believe they had that last year from February 27th to March 27th. This is definitely a sign that spring is coming. Watch for pickup signups and volunteer opportunities. They're going to do pickup one day only on Saturday, March 6th. All right, this is our big one. We saved the best for last, right, Emily? We have the Meadowbrook Mingle coming.
I hope so. Hello, everyone. Happy to be in my 3rd year supporting the Meadowbrook Mingle. We have locked down our date this year. It's March 20th through the 24th. We will have an in-person element back again after a few years of not seeing faces to kind of, finish out the capstone event, if you will. So on Saturday, the 25th, right, Stacy and Aaron, we are definitely doing Saturday, correct? Just want to make sure that we are going to have an in-person event back at Brookview, and that will kind of capstone the Meadowbrook Mingle. So we will still have the online portion for the whole week. We will also then have an in-person element that is more geared at community. So whereas for some of you who maybe previously attended the Mingle where it was only the one night in person, we'll still have the ability to support and build community throughout the course of the week, virtually with the in-school fun that we've had, but then we will have an in-person element that will allow for parents to come together and build some community, get to know the PTO, get to know a little bit of the opportunity to continue to get involved in Meadowbrook. And we will have childcare available to be able to support this event, being fun for parents and for kids, to be able to be family and inclusive. And we are going to focus this year in the element of community, I should say, so, really supporting the Meadowbrook community with some of the programs that we have both in school and out of school. So you're going to see some fewer but better opportunities to support. We'll be launching the website and utilizing the same mechanisms for our, Mingle fundraising efforts. But then we'll also have that in-person element where we are going to really try and get people together, talk about Meadowbrook, talk about the ways to continue to get involved, especially as we see 5th and 6th graders, transitioning and the big transition that we're having in the school. How can we continue to involve and engage some of our younger families as well to continue really the Meadowbrook Mingle and legacy within Meadowbrook? We're excited. We're a small but mighty team and appreciate the support of the PTO and Natalie and Trent, which has allowed for this event to be so successful in years past. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. Yeah, in the spirit of community, the childcare available for the Mingle will be hosted by the Hopkins High School dance team. So that'll be
at
really
Brookview
fun.
Backyard.
And Brookview Backyard, yes,
right.
that's always a hit. So we're super excited for that. So thank you guys so much for all the work that you do putting that event together. And Stacy and I are super excited to be able to have the in-person event back, because we do think that is important for us as parents to create community as well.
And if there's anyone on this call or anyone who okay, yep. Okay. they just never stop. If you are interested in supporting, whether it be the online portion or the kind of gear up to the mingle, or you're someone who loves like party planning and setting up tables and chairs or whatever it is that is your passion, feel free to reach out to Stacy and Aaron via the PTO email address, and we can kind of coordinate getting you slated if that's something you're interested in. But we're also seeking just some additional volunteerism, given we're now bringing back an in-person component as well. So just wanted to plug that shamelessly for this group.
That's awesome. I'm always in for that. All right. I don't think we have anybody from Equity Inclusion. They met recently. This is another committee that we have been working to get up and running, kind of goes to that book. That's where the funds for the book study came from for us. This is an important part of our work. And so know that there is a group of people working in this area. And if, again, similar to what Emily stated, if this is something that is of interest to you or a passion area, we definitely have the ability to connect you with people to help continue that work. There was a budget. Dave, you had a slide too, right? For the budget update for the PTO?
Yeah.
Go to the next one, Aaron.
It
Is
is.
it in-
I didn't know it was included. Here we go.
All right. Yep. The school year is about halfway done and things are going along pretty smoothly. Not a big change in income since our last meeting, because the biggest event was the carnival. That was real successful in the fall. We've been slow steady getting some donations and matching funds from people, even though we haven't had an official donation drive. People have been also sending in a few donations, which is nice. And then of course the mingle will be the next big fundraiser we do. We're looking forward to that. And expenses so far is pretty much on plan. For art and culture, we recently paid for a couple residencies for writing residency and a poetry residency. Classrooms, field trips, teachers. We continue to pay for, one of the biggest items we always pay for is the busing for field trips. And every month there's a couple more field trips, and a PTO will pay for the buses. So that slowly adds up throughout the year. The grants, we spent a lot of that already, but a lot of that is first off, right at the beginning of the year, we give every teacher $150. And then the remainder of the grants money is ongoing as teachers apply for it. We've spent a few lately. The biggest one, which was I think kind of neat, is the music teacher got ukuleles for the kids to play. I've heard that many of the other Hopkins elementary schools had them already. And so the PTO was able to pay for those. And there's some admin expenses. There is a big category this year for prior year expenses. That was due to last year's mingle had a fund and need items, which were actually just paid for this year. So we have to count from in this year, and also some busing from last year that didn't get paid until this fiscal year. But that's about the size of it. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, that we'd like to include this in our general meetings for transparency, so that you guys can everybody can see where the money is going. And yeah, we appreciate you, Dave, taking the time to update us.
Sure, no problem.
I have a question. Like, if sometimes my kids' classroom, like if I know there's a field trip and they ask if we want to pay extra for other kids, does that money go to you guys, or does the teacher just hold on to that for the next field trip?
Well, my understanding of the way that works is actually, quite often when there's a fee for the field trip, the school collects the payment and they collect the extra, and then they use that extra to pay for kids who are asking for a scholarship. If there's an extra, I believe the school just holds on to it for the next field trip. And then sometimes though, there's actually a shortfall. And then the school contacts the PTO and we actually make up the shortfall. But
Okay, would it be better to just donate money to you all than instead of giving it to the teacher for the field trip?
It's a little, the system is a little complicated in the way that, it works, but I mean, it kind of works out the same either way. The money, if you donate to the teacher, it will get used to help somebody pay to attend the field trip, or you could give it to the PTO. It would be used in a program.
Yeah, I think the difference that we pay mostly for the buses. So the fees that you're taking, the teachers are taking are usually the entry to the place
Right.
they're going, and we're paying for the buses. So that's what keeps the prices low for the parents. So when you're donating to the, when they have that box check, that goes directly to help other kids pay for the field trip. If you donate to us, it'll eventually get to that way too. Like Dave said, that we would make up any shortfall that didn't come in that way. So
Okay,
everybody goes regardless.
That's good to know. I just didn't know which way I should be donating.
Yeah, either whatever you're more comfortable with, whatever's easier. Sometimes it's easy, like if you just round it up, or it's a day that you feel like, yeah, I can give another extra $5 for somebody to go.
I was going to add, I was just going to add that we've gotten into the practice too in the last couple of years of refunding families if their child ends up sick or doesn't end up going on a field trip for whatever reason, to refund them that money. So sometimes, I think more times than not, we still do like there is like a short, like we're short for most field trips, and then PTO does pay for that little bit that we might be short, even when parents might offer to pay for someone else. But
that is really
it's super
nice.
great to have the support too.
Awesome. All right. Oops, I muted because somebody was getting loud here, but I forgot I'm talking. All right. Well, our last but not least, well, not last thing is to draw the names. Do you have something else, Stacy?
Nope, I was just gonna say this one we already did, so we just get to draw the name.
Oh, we did. Oh, good. This was when I was flustered. All right, so
Yeah.
we're drawing the name. I'm excited. Oh, it didn't update, did it? What happened? Okay, hold on a second. I had made a link.
Oh, well, you get
there it
ready
is.
and I'll chat about it.
There it is. The
so
wheelofnames.com.
The Hopkins Educational Foundation Royal Bash is coming up. We'll give a little plug for them on February 25th. Hopkins Educational Foundation, or HEF, is a district-wide, really great, what's the word I'm looking for? Group that raises money and then gives grants throughout all of the schools in Hopkins. And so this is a giant fundraiser that they have. We put out a few weeks ago that if you had volunteered for PTO in any manner, that we were giving away 2 free tickets. So that is what Erin is doing right now, is going to draw the name of the person.
Oh, shoot. And then it didn't put my names in. Hold on. These are not the people I know. Hold on. I wanted to be transparent. Here I am trying to figure all this out. All right, here we go. You can see behind the curtain. We had 13 people respond. So if you were one of those 13 people, you have a good chance of winning. So I just copied all the names. I put them in this fancy wheel of names. Doesn't that look fun?
So fun.
So click to spin. Who's gonna win? Oh, looks like John wins. I wonder if he'll take Trisha.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And this is something that PTO does every year. So if you missed out on the drawing this year, keep an eye out for next year. If you volunteer anytime throughout the year, then you are welcome to join into that drawing. So awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, without further ado, if there's any other things for the good of the cause, otherwise we are only 8 minutes over, which is pretty good for a PTO meeting, right? We appreciate all of you coming. We do have one more meeting in March where we will set set the budget for next year, vote on any potential officers to keep our organization running, and get some exciting other updates. Otherwise, I will stop recording. Hang on. I'll stop the recording.
Thank you all for being here.
I do that.